I'm Tracy and welcome to Set Up for Success. This week we're going to be talking about self-esteem. Now, a good definition that I've found is self-esteem is made up of the thoughts, feelings and opinions we have about ourselves. Now, I don't know about you, but I can remember being at school and wondering whether anybody liked me. I remember my school days and I think I had a really horrible time at school, to be quite honest. I remember being at primary school and I really enjoyed primary school. But secondary school was a whole new ball game. You're amongst so many different people that you didn't know previously, and there's so many different expectations that people have of you, and people don't really know you. And you just being yourself sometimes is not acceptable, or you just being yourself, others don't quite know you, so they don't quite know how to take you. I remember being accused of thinking I'm too nice, whatever that means. I remember being bullied by one particular girl who was much bigger than me, and that was a really awful experience, that in itself. I also remember being, that particular girl wanted to have a fight with me and being completely scared out of my skin about that concept because that wasn't really my nature. Being jumped by a group of girls. All those things that happened to me made me feel that I'm not really liked by people, or what's wrong with me. I had those questions going around my head. What's wrong with me? No one really likes me. I didn't really know what I did to offend them, let alone I didn't know what to do to fix it. I also remember being at church where there was another young lady who we used to look alike, and people always used to get us confused. But I noticed that they looked on that child more favourably than they looked at me. And again, I started to wonder, well, what's wrong with me? Why do people like her more than they like me? And we was probably about 9 or 10. I remember her being given books and scriptures to learn and things to research, and I wasn't given anything. I wondered if people thought I was thick. But I just noticed a different treatment. And again, those thoughts come into your head as a child and they repeat over and over again. What's wrong with me? Why don't people like me? And you start really doubting yourself and second guessing yourself and not really liking your own self, because you're thinking something's wrong with me. Something is desperately wrong with me. I remember also, sound like a real pity party here, but yeah, just going over things from my childhood and what can affect us from our childhood. And these foundations, remember that they forgot me. It was promotion day, and promotion day is when everybody moves up a Sunday school class, but being completely forgotten. And I think I was completely forgotten for a number of years. So I never ever actually got promoted. I just went from class to class, but you were meant to be promoted, given a Bible or a little Christian book. And I was forgotten each year. And I thought, how on earth do you forget someone who comes to church every Sunday? Again, that had negative implications. I thought, what's wrong with me? How can they always forget me? Why do they forget me every year? So I'm sure all of you can identify with some of these stories and identify with those thoughts and feelings of what's wrong with me? Why don't people like me? So as parents, I want us to think about ways in which we can help our children raise their self-esteem, and to let them not go through a lot of the self-doubts and the self-criticisms and the really low feelings that we have gone through as parents. Sometimes I look at things and I think, not maybe, but when we were born, I have this little story in my head. When we were born, it's like the enemy had a hit. He put out a hit on us the day we were born, and he assigned some demonic entity to each one of us as a baby to cause us to have negative experiences from the very, very day we were born, to clip our wings, to prevent us from flying and to try to prevent us from flying, to try to prevent us from being all that God intended us to be. And some people have gone through horrific things such as abuse, having abusive parents, having neglectful parents, and have really had to fight to be the person that they are today. And I think that is part of it. We have to fight. We have to fight physically sometimes, we have to fight mentally to be the person God has destined for us to be, and to reach our full potential in life and to fulfill that destiny that He has placed on the inside of us. And that is what we want for our children, to fight those thoughts that are going on in their heads, that regardless of what people do or say and how they are treated at school or church or anywhere else in life, there is a divine destiny and a huge plan that God has for them, and that they should never, ever, ever allow anything whatsoever to stop them from fulfilling that destiny. So here are 5 ways in which we can, as parents, can lower our children's self-esteem. Number 1, giving them things instead of ourselves. Remember, children spell love Time. Children just want our time, our undivided attention. And if we're giving them things instead of ourselves, they're going to go away thinking something's wrong with me. So I would recommend that we spend at least 10 minutes with each child each day, with no gadgets, no distractions, just doing something that you're both enjoying and enjoying each other's company. Number 2, talking negatively about the other parent. That has a really destructive effect on a child, because remember, that child's thinking, but that person is part of me, I'm part of them. So if you're disrespecting the parent, calling them a fool, a waste man, broke pocket or something, that is negatively impacting on that child and really making that child feel negatively about themselves. So try your very hardest, if your spouse or your ex is, really winding you up, talk to another adult, another grown-up about it in private, not in the presence of your child. Number 3, being afraid to set limits or being inconsistent with your limits. Children need boundaries, so if you tell them no, mean no. There's no negotiations. Don't negotiate with children, because if you do that with them, they believe that for the rest of their life they can negotiate their way out of problems, out of situations, and they're going to find themselves in some situations where there are no negotiations. So teach them from now, there's no negotiations. If I say no, I mean no. If I say come in at 10, you come in at 10. If it's no sweets before dinner, it's no sweets before dinner. No negotiations. Number 4, discipline them in love. I try to always remember Jesus and how He dealt with the woman who was caught in the act of adultery. And basically, He didn't degrade her, He didn't embarrass her, He didn't try to intimidate her, He didn't degrade her, I think I've said that already, or break her spirit. He just said to her, literally, don't do that again. And I think when we discipline our children, it's not in a way to humiliate them, to make them feel small or stupid, or to say, you idiot. We're going to discipline them in love, in a way that keeps their self-esteem, keeps their self-respect. And just like Jesus, we're just telling them, don't do that again. Number 5 is comparing them to others. That is something as adults, I think we do it naturally. It's a really bad habit. Sometimes we do it at school. Look at so-and-so's book. Why is so-and-so's book so neat? Look at so-and-so's work. So-and-so's work is marvellous. And then parents, we do it at home. Look at so-and-so's room. Why is so-and-so's room so neat and tidy and your room's a mess? Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? We need to try our very best to not compare one child to another. And 5 tips to raise their self-esteem. Number 1, children need rules, guidelines and boundaries, and they need consistency, as I said before. So set them. Don't be afraid to set them, because it helps a child know where they stand with you. It gives them confidence, and it doesn't make them feel insecure because they don't know which way you're going to turn, what mood you're in, whether you're going to say yes or no. Let them know this is the stance, this is what you do, this is where you're allowed to go, this is what I expect from you. Number 2, empower them to make their own decisions. Don't be overbearing. Allow them to choose their own clothes. From a very young age, actually, I allowed my children to choose their own clothes, even if I thought, man, that doesn't look good. I was actually wanting them to develop a sense of, I can choose this, I can make these decisions. I was empowering them. Whether it be decorating their room, allow them to choose the colour. Obviously, there's big things that you're not going to empower them to make decisions over, but there are small things. Empower them, allow them to make some decisions in the home. Number 3, focus on their strengths and the things they do well and the things that are going well for them. Don't concentrate on the things they can't do and be constantly going on and on and on the things that they can't do. That crushes a child. But the things they can do, if they're good at math, wow, you're so good at math. I wish I was as good as you at that. Oh, your handwriting is so neat. Oh, find something. But concentrate on the things that they do well and the things that are going well in their life. And that leads smoothly onto the next one, number 4. Talk to them with dignity. Again, don't call them names. Don't call them fool, stupid, idiot. Don't degrade your child in that way, because you wouldn't want someone to speak to you in that way. Speak to them with dignity. Look for ways to praise them. Look for ways to build them up. Look for ways to raise them. You're not going to overinflate their ego and make them, You're not going to just try to make them egotistical, but you're going to look for ways to praise them, to build them up, to make them feel good about themselves. And number 5, you're going to teach them to view mistakes as learning opportunities. Basically, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, and that's something you need to reiterate to your child over and over again. Everyone makes mistakes. Get over it. Don't dwell on that. Focus on the future. If they're always saying, I'm always making mistakes, I'm always doing this. You need to rephrase that and say to them, how can I learn from this? What lesson can I learn from this? So turn it around for something positive. Turn it around for a learning opportunity in their life, and teach them to be quick to forgive themselves and not holding themselves in condemnation. Oh, I did that, because that just eats away at them. So I hope you found these tips interesting and helpful, and something that you can use with your children. As usual, please do comment, please share, and please do subscribe, because you don't want to miss next week's episode, which is going to be on identity. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.